Hey guys, welcome to CPL Fever. It's your host Jack and Angie Murray here, and today we are joined by the Down the Pub podcast crew, Carlos Benitez, Chris Searle, and Anthony Abbott. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the best moment, the biggest surprise, and then we're going to do a little blurb on each team. So how are you guys? Anthony, I know you're probably a little gutted because of that penalty call and like extra time against Spurs. Carlos, I know you're probably pretty happy because you like Newcastle. And Chris, I'm sure you're probably pretty happy because Manchester United won against Brighton and Hove Albion.
Ask Anthony the last picture I text him after the match.
You've started this podcast off on the wrong foot here, Jack. I'm in a bad mood now. So well done. Oh, but in all honesty, this is like the penalty that we got given against us in the Island games. It's a farce at this stage. How's that handball? His back is to him. It just makes no sense whatsoever. And until they fix it, people are just going to be upset because the whole reason for bringing in the video assistant referee was to stop all the ambiguity and people freaking out and all that kind of stuff. And it's worse now.
It's kind of funny how in 2020, the definition of a handball still hasn't been figured out. It's wild to me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if your hand is out and it hits it, I get it. If your back is to somebody and it hits your arm, come on. Sorry, Jack. I know we don't want to get through this quick, so that's the end of my rant. Let's go, buddy.
Isn't that the new FIFA rule about the penalty kicks inside the box?
Yeah, I feel like every referee does kind of
different.
Yeah. I think that's the new rule, and I feel like the new rule it's killing football. I agree. Like I'm not a supporter of the tune, but I have a soft spot for them. But to be honest, it was very unfortunate for Tottenham. I guess that the new rules is killing football.
To be honest, when you're a Tottenham fan, you get used to it. So yeah, we're fine. All right, man. Let's stop making me want to cry here, Jack, and move on. Okay. Come on, buddy.
Okay, so let's go to make you happy, Anthony. Let's go to the best moment in the Island games. You start.
The best moment, I honestly think it was probably Regi's goal. I just think that we kind of talked about this a little bit on our show, but he has been through so much. It's been a horrendous 2 years for him to get back to full fitness. He's still not technically fully fit, and just to see somebody to go through all of that and then score a goal like that was just, that's what football's about, you know. It's just those kind of heartwarming moments at times. Like we all support different teams and all that kind of stuff, but we still want to see good people do well, and he's one of the good people. So that was probably my best moment of the tournament.
Yeah, that goal was really amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris? Do you agree with Anthony? That was a pretty special goal.
One of my moments for sure. Definitely one of my moments. Like Anthony said, with his backstory, it just kind of adds some flavor to the goal. And his little celebration after, you could just see the relief kind of coming off of his shoulders a little bit. And he kicked off after that and had a wonderful tournament. So one of mine for sure. My one personally was Omar's goal in extra time.
Yeah.
In the context of the whole tournament, when you look back at that goal, it was actually the turning point. And just how all the boys reacted, so loose, like they were kids again. And similar to Regi, Omar ended up scoring that goal. And, the next game he was a little off, but after that, really kicked off and had a great tournament. So for me, it would be Omar's goal. I actually, when you sent me the list of things before the show to find out memories, like Anthony said, Regi's goal was one, and I could list off a dozen more. I don't want to take Carlos's, but I think it was a tournament full of great moments, and I think it's awesome that we had a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were so many great moments. And yeah, that goal just kind of relieved everybody, especially with having a red card. We really do have the salvage time magic.
just on that little point there, the best part about that was Jan Michael Williams. Like he went back to being like a 12-year-old that he's like down the line. It was incredible.
Yeah, he's pretty joyous.
Yeah.
What about you, Carlos?
To me, I got two ones, very quick ones. The first one was Omar's goal when we tied against York. We were losing, and he was the playmaker. He made a big difference in the whole game, and he put us right into a fight in the group stage. We were about to make 0 points, but we make 1 point. We draw with George. So I feel like that was a huge comeback from the team. He made a huge difference. And the other was the game against Ottawa. I think that was the best game we played in the whole tournament against Athletic Ottawa. It was just pure class. Like the team was focusing. We were as a unit. I feel like if we keep that consistency from onwards, we're probably going to be like winning that microwave plate in the upcoming season.
I don't know why everyone keeps calling it a microwave plate, but I guess I don't know.
Sorry,
yeah,
Jack.
that moment was amazing.
A special shout out as well was the moment when all the players came to the side of the pitch and did the Black Lives Matter thing. That was a beautiful moment, and it really, to see all the players come together like that when they were all supposed to be in a bubble and separated and just come together for the greater good. That really touched me, and kudos to the league for allowing them to do that. So that's another little one there for me. So
I had one more small one too, and
okay.
It's honestly, to follow up Anthony's, it doesn't quite compare, but from a playing standpoint, I think we can all agree it was another one of those turning moments. Oxner's penalty save.
Oh yeah,
I think we all kind of felt like our backs were against the wall. Here we go again. Christian made that save, and it just put a fire, I think, in everybody's belly. So
and he was coming back in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was just like, I'm here and I'm here to stay.
Yeah,
like he made a statement with that penalty save.
What was yours, Jack?
Mine was Omar Krem's free kick goal, because it was just so amazing, and like it was a perfect ball. And I love it when like a team gets a goal at the last minute. Just if it's for my team, I don't like it against us.
You're winding me up here.
Well, Mourinho looked happy.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's happy about that or not having another striker. His top's gonna blow.
Oh man, it's funny to see. What about you, Andrew? What was your favorite moment?
For me, yeah, it was Omar Krem's goal. When that happened, we just totally erupted, and I think there was a couple things, because I was really angry with or frustrated with the York 9 game, because they didn't play well at all the whole tournament, and we should have won that game. It was I can see why they gave it, but I thought it was a weak call. And we'd been up against some obstacles in the past, like that penalty against Ford. I didn't think was a penalty, so I felt like we dropped some points, and so that really put us into seeing that we could actually get to the second round, because without that, it looked like there were a couple times there where we just had some bad calls, and maybe that would have been the reason we didn't make it to the second round.
Yeah, that free kick goal was amazing. But one more quick one for me was that Black Lives Matter moment when they all went on to the side of the field. It was just really touching, and it was great to see such a league do that with their players, just to make a stand. I really like that.
Yeah, big time.
It's a great tournament all around. I think just overall it exceeded everyone's expectations. And apparently the viewership of the final was really strong on TV too, which is great to hear.
Yeah, it was a great advert for the game here in Canada, to be honest. The whole tournament, the fact that there wasn't, was there actually any 0-0s? Was there one? Yeah,
I
think there was one.
Valor
Yeah,
and York 9.
Yeah,
I think it was Valor and York 9.
That's incredible. For a tournament like that, for 35 games to have one scoreless draw, it's a testament to everybody.
On the way that they pulled this tournament, in such a rush time, kudos to the Canadian Premier League. I mean, pulling off this in 2 weeks, everything, you have to accommodate, the logistics must be crazy. It must be really intense for them. Kudos to those guys over there to pull off such a great tournament in such a short time. And
I think the fans too. I mean, we're fans, but in some of the other leagues, you see people kind of joking about how this season doesn't count, or there should be an asterisk next to this champion. But I feel like our fans really appreciated what the league were able to offer us, and we're legitimizing this championship as it deserves to be.
You should stop reading Pacific fans, man.
Yeah, except for them. Yeah.
They're just
they're so bitter about everything. Like, oh my god, it's crazy.
Well,
They're drama queens.
It's almost like there's this rule out west that if they beat a team 5-0, even though they're eliminated, they should get one more game. Like that's what this guy was literally
Really?
saying. Yeah, he was going on about how the goal difference should have counted because they whooped us as bad as they did.
Like goal differential should trump points.
I think he almost wanted to give the extra point because they scored 5 goals, and I was like, what kind of like strange foosball concept is that?
Tell them to keep watching hockey, man. This is football. Or there's software for dummies that they can buy and they can read it. So
I think it's is it rugby that if you win by so many points you get like an extra point or something?
You get bonus point.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and this is what the Pacific fan was throwing at us, and we were just like rolling our eyes, like, okay, this is not how it has ever worked.
I read that one and I didn't even comment on it.
You did see
I
it.
I was just like, no, I'm not gonna waste my time.
I just was like, that's not how it works, and then you reported after that. Yeah.
Now, let's start with Carlos this time. But what was your Carlos? What was your favorite? What was the biggest surprise for you in this tournament?
The biggest surprise to me was I'm gonna, to be honest, not surprised because I knew the quality that he has, but the way that he was told 24 hours before that you're gonna play in that position when you've been practicing. During practice playing another position was Chris Novi's ex Ensa. When it was that the meet and not meet and greet, those hangouts on Zoom with the players.
Yeah.
I asked Chris if I know he can play both, but when I asked him the question, he told me no. Like Steven told me a night before, you're gonna play right back, and they were practicing another position, and the way that he overcome that and succeeded, and he's one of the best U21 players and playing that position, I feel like now he owns that position. Even if he's a center back, the right back position for Chris Noyes, that was a big surprise for me during the tournament.
But he did play 10 minutes at center back.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. But the rest of it, yeah. And he was fun to watch. Really up and down there. I really liked all the fullbacks from Halifax. I thought they made some outstanding sliding tackles, and they're just good to watch.
It was really fun to watch the partnership with Mateo Shepo and Kristinovic Ensa. But Alex de Carolis was great too, in all of the fullbacks.
Mateo too was I knew he had a quality. I was expecting that Alex being the captain and being the most experienced player probably going to own that position. But Mateo surprised me too. The way that he played, I think that you're going to see one of the best left backs. And I'm not saying that because I'm a Wanderer fan. You're going to see one of the best left backs like in the next upcoming 2 seasons from Mateo. Mateo's going to keep improving more. He goes to the pitch with that confidence that you can tell that if nobody knows the Wanderers and they see Mateo play, they're going to say, this guy's been there forever, right? No, he just started. And I feel like all the left backs and the right backs in the CPL are very competitive. And I was telling the guys, Anto and Chris, in one of the shows that to Mateo to succeed and be the best left back, he needs to add the goal into his repertoire. If Mateo's one of those left backs that's going to cop attack, go back, and he can score goals, set pieces, or just like from outside the box, he's going to be one of the best ones in the league and probably going to get sold very, very soon because he has such much talent.
Yeah,
Carlos got a job as Mateo's agent there a couple of weeks ago, so that's why.
It's at 5 or 10% for the sale fee, yeah.
But the way that Chris plays the game, going back to Chris, it's just he just always plays with a smile on his face. Nothing gets to him, nothing phases him. Off the field, he just brings so much to the club. Everybody loves him, and I just love that he's part of our club. And he was asked to play a position that wasn't really that familiar to him, and he just got his head down, got stuck in, and ended up being one of the best players at the tournament. So he's an incredible player, and I'm really happy for him that everything went so well.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? What was the biggest surprise for you?
Well, Halifax as a general thing, I think, was kind of a bit of a surprise. But when you look at all the teams, if we're not going to be biased, Ottawa, how quickly they came together and were able to be competitive, I think was a big surprise. With the fact that they didn't have the pick of their international loot, if you will, and the advantage they have with the Atletico Academy, they weren't really able to dip into it. So the fact that they were able to be as competitive as they were was very impressive. They signed guys literally off the plane, which was fantastic to see. Kind of like it's almost like a movie. And we've talked to Rob Gale. Valor was a great surprise. Halifax, like I said, was a great surprise. You could even argue a little bit that even though they didn't really provide a whole lot, Edmonton still was a fighter in most games, even though it didn't really turn out that well for them. They were a bit of a surprise. Individually, Mo Babuli for me was a big one. I remember years ago, this guy was supposed to be the second coming of de Guzman, and it just never really clicked for him. To see a guy that was just playing 7-a-side indoor not that long ago to be able to step into 11-a-side in a tournament as intense as this was really impressive. And I think that he was genuinely the difference between Forge making it to the final or maybe even not making it to the final stage. He just provided something every time he stepped on the field. So for me, Mo Babuli overall would probably be the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised
overall,
by Mo Babuli. I was expecting him to be really good. And in the tournament, I think, I don't know if this is my perception, but he seemed to have a little bit more of that kind of role, that quickness, that just like, deft, feint, change of position that I think you need to have more in indoor soccer. And so I was expecting him to bring this. So I was really not thrilled when he started in the final.
Well, I was saying he's kind of accidentally set an example maybe for these guys in the off season. A lot of them go to like training camps or performance camps to stay fit, or they sometimes play for like a semi-pro club, but they're not really playing. They're trying to avoid injury, maybe playing like 15, 20 minutes every game. And we're talking about these Ontario guys. I know the guys in Halifax, they don't have the options that they have in Ontario, but I think what Mo has done is shown just about everybody in the league this 7-a-side, small field, indoor during the offseason actually can pay off for your game. And I've seen it happen in Nova Scotia a lot. Like some of the best guys during the winter end up being the best guys in the summer. So it was kind of cool to see that at a national level for our national league. And I think it actually opens the door for some guys right now that are in their 20s that are not playing at a professional level, but are at a high level in the indoor leagues who might, not have had a chance or even thought that they had a chance to do it. Now maybe they're going to go to the trial next year, or they're going to call a club and see if they can come out to a training camp or something. I just, I guess to say that it was surprising to see him play so well is maybe the wrong term, but I think how quickly he adjusted to the game kind of caught me off guard. But to your credit, Andrew, that's why, it's the little intricacies, and they definitely translate well in the Canadian game.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with Andrew. I know, like, you need to have that quality to play indoor, you gotta be very full skill. But in order to what you said, Chris, it depends on the position though. Like if you have a defender that plays 7-on-7, I don't think he will succeed in the Canadian Premier League playing 11-11, a more competitive game. I feel like perhaps the position that Mo Babuli had, because he's a winger/striker, maybe that helps you because you're over attack and you're very technical with your foot and you break those lines, you go deep, that one-on-one. Mm-hmm. But being a defender, I don't think that playing 7-on-7 will help you. But I agree with you. Depend on the position could be maybe,
And you're assuming Farsi played out wide, right? Like kind of midfieldish when he was playing 7-a-side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What was yours, Anthony? I know you were talking about Chris, but did you have a surprise? It was
mine was actually like how evenly matched most of the teams were. I think that after last year, we all thought that was going to be like Calvary and Forge again, and the recruitment drive that everybody's done over the summer and spring has been incredible. I mean, even like Ottawa showed up, as Chris said, that they showed up and they played really well. Edmonton. we're the worst team there, but they weren't the worst by an awful lot though. So I feel like anybody could have beaten anybody on a given day. So that was a big surprise to me too. And also just the sheer amount of talent that's untapped in Canada, it was a big surprise too. I mean, like people like Babuli's like just playing around, somewhere like playing 7-side. Nobody ever really heard of him before. Like Mo Farsi, you know, the guys that they brought into York. Like, it's incredible the amount of time. And that's what the league is here, is to showcase all that. But I mean, I don't think anybody really believed or felt that there was that level of talent that's there untapped. And I think it's great for the country that these guys are now getting a chance to be showcased. So yeah, that was the big surprise for me, was the quality of each team and what they brought, and just these untapped little gems. Like, I mean, like Mo Farsi for me was like one of the best players in the tournament, and like there was a chance he was never going to play football, right? So I mean, it's incredible. It's great to see, and fair play to the teams for giving him a chance. I mean, like York have done, they brought in quite a lot of players, and I know that their model is to bring in young players and then try and sell them and just keep turning over. But you need to have the talent there to be able to do that, and the players that they brought in was incredible too. So the Canadian game looks good right now.
The U21s also were a big surprise in this league. And also, I know people talk about Atletico Ottawa, you know, they're the flavor of the moment, new guys in the league. But I feel like we need to give credit to Valor too. What Rob Gale put with that team. If that team was more healthy, he probably be next season. Valor is gonna improve more, and they're gonna be a headache for the rest of the teams. So kudos to Rob Gale too, and what he put with Valor to what they were last season and what they were able to put a fight this season. They were great.
I really think that they need to, in my opinion, they need to look at the way that they're training, because they had so many muscle injuries compared to everybody else. There's something not quite right there, that like to have that many muscle injuries, there's something in their stretching or their training methods or something that's not right, because they had the same issue last year too, right? They had a lot of players that were injured with muscle injuries. So on paper, like last year, they had probably the best squad in the league, and injuries kind of hit them hard. And this year again, I mean, it really messed them over, like having so many players on the treatment table.
Yeah, but they might not have done next year, because wasn't he on loan?
Yeah.
And what about Baptiste? Is he on loan too, or?
No, I think he's a different one. He's on loan, but his contract is up in December next year, or is it this year?
This year.
So that's what. Yeah. So I think he's on loan right now, but like by the time his loan is done, he's actually a free agent. Whereas Dunn, I think, is signed on until like 2023 or something crazy like that. But
yeah, because without those two, I would not think Valor would have done even as well. That was actually my biggest surprise. Was I guess I didn't really know too much about those players and how they'd fit in, because I thought Valor would have been like the Edmonton, like have like 1 point and Rob Gale will be gone, and that was the biggest surprise for me.
Like I thought they'd be more like the Edmonton because of just of the players, and I didn't know like the Dunn was going to be that good or Andrew Jean Baptiste was going to be that good. But another big surprise for me, which you guys mentioned earlier, was how all the teams were so evenly matched. Like on any given day, one team could have been a different team, or if injuries didn't impact Valor so hard, or Cavalry, if injuries didn't impact Cavalry so hard, they could have had the North Star Shield.
Yeah, I think as well, like for Valor, that had they a proper striker, I think that's where their huge downfall was, and it's no disrespect to what they have. They were just missing somebody that could just bang in a few goals with them, and that would have taken them to the next level. So I think you're right, Andrew. I think it's imperative that they hang on to those two guys at the back, and then add like a striker. It's very difficult to pick up an Akeem Garcia, unfortunately for them. But I mean, if they do, that they've got a really strong squad and they can keep them fit and healthy, I think they're one to watch for next year.
Yeah,
yes,
I wasn't too impressed with Aird either. I thought he was a little overhyped.
So he was
didn't Rob say that he wasn't
He was
quite fit or
injured.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just his performance; it was also his attitude. I didn't like his attitude, and that's important to me. That's important to me.
I think with that though is because like for him, like he grew up in the Rangers youth system and all that kind of stuff, and I think he in his head he probably feels it's a bit of a come down to come and play in Canada. But at the end of the day, you are where you are, and if you want to get back to playing for Rangers and all those guys, you have to put the performances on the pitch, and that I think that's what the difference with him and Marco Bustos is that Marco Bustos has taken his chances and shown the world what he's capable of and shown that he should be playing at a higher level than what he is right now.
Really interesting to see what happens with him, honestly.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens with Marco Bustos. But I just want to get like a quick blurb, one more quick blurb from each of you about Valor. For me, a quick blurb is that, yes, because they really need a striker. If they can hold on to their like fullbacks, which are really good, like their backline, like Sabara, Levis, Julian Dan, Andrew Jean Baptiste, and like some of their midfielders, like maybe just strengthen their midfield. But they really need to get a striker. Because like Austin Ricky and Sean Handel were supposed to fill that, but neither of them were able to quite perform at that level, because Austin Ricky was almost becoming like a playmaker or something. Like we know that, like there are times that we were looking and he was like getting out of the way to almost like be the playmaker, like make the nice pass, and like going out wide. So yeah, they really need to fill that striker spot.
Yeah, I mean, you even saw it against us, Jack, like how wasteful they were. Like, to be honest, that first 30 minutes against us was probably the best they played in the whole tournament. And had they had a striker, we would have been in trouble. So I'm grateful on one hand that they don't have a striker, but on another hand, if I was a Valor fan, I'd kind of really wish that we had somebody who could put the ball in the net. So
yeah, and they were really unlucky with injuries like Andrew Jean Baptiste. Lewis had to go out for a bit. I think Sabara missed a game just because of a knock, like not an injury, but just a knock. Yeah,
and like Shakib, who played for us last year, he was unlucky too. It's just it was just
like
a litany
10
of
minutes or something. Man,
it was just a litany of unfortunate circumstances. And the problem is that when you're in that kind of tournament thing, you kind of hope that players can just push through and get to the end, and unfortunately for them, didn't really happen. So, yeah.
And Chris, Carlos, a little blurb from each of you, and Daddy.
Just about Valor?
Yeah.
The guy was saying they were kind of competitive into every game, and we had the opportunity to talk to Rob Gale, and it was interesting to get his perspective. And it was kind of alongside mine, but even kind of changed mine, kind of, I guess, verified what I was seeing. This is a team that was incomplete, that still kind of found a way to be complete. So, I don't want to sound like a broken record. They definitely need a striker. And one of the things we never got to ask Rob Gale about, that I'm still really curious about, is the Charlie Waters situation. I mean, they drafted him. The guy can put the ball in the back of the net, and he was nowhere to be found. So, when that's your issue, when you actually drafted a striker, I think that they might have to look at the decision-making process a little bit in the offseason. And I think from talking to Rob, we kind of got that. They're gonna look at the unforced errors from this year and improve on them, because they were able to overcome the forced errors, if you will, which is kind of strange. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you, Carlos?
For me, Valor, it's made a big improvement from what they were last season, regardless the quality of players they had, like Marco Bustos. They have the guy from your Petrasso, and Nico Galvez left. So they have quite a talent there. It seems like Rob Gale has the eye to know what players can be potentially useful for the team, like Stephen Hart does. But I feel like, they need a number 9 for sure. I'm sure that Rob Gale will add, probably, because they have one more international cup. I'm sure that they're thinking in getting an international 9. Because I feel like you can use an international 9 to Valor, and perhaps one quality midfielder as well, and they're complete. I mean, they have a good roster. They can be competitive with a number
Yeah.
9 and a midfielder. I feel like they need a midfielder too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
Daddy?
why was there the mass exodus of all the people that left?
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
that's concerning.
The playmaker.
I don't think we'll ever find out the real reason, to be honest, unless Chris digs a little bit deeper for us and finds out.
Listen, man,
All right.
talking to Rob, he actually seemed to speak highly of the group last year. There wasn't really a lot of issues. And a couple of the other teams had some famous issues that we're not going to talk about on the show. But it seemed like talking to Rob and having the opportunity to talk to a couple of the guys that played for Valor last year, it really wasn't a team cohesion thing. It really wasn't anything behind the scenes. I think it was just, like you said, you have to look at why there was such a mass exodus. I think it was playing performance as opposed to the stuff around the playing performance. So I think he kind of joked with us. He figured it out this year, but he didn't have last year's roster. So I think he's going to learn, like I said, he's going to learn from the trial and error of the last 2 years. And I expect Valor to be super competitive in year 3. They might be the new Halifax.
So next I was gonna go with York 9.
You know, it's a weird one because injuries kind of similar to Valor. They kind of took over. You know, when you don't have Chris Manello or Michael Petrasso in your team, it's always hard to kind of reach a certain level. So I kind of felt bad for York. It's kind of funny that they missed out and didn't play particularly great, blew some leads, lost some points, but we're still undefeated going into the last game.
Yeah,
So
that's funny.
for me, it's one of the weird conundrums of this tournament. If you draw too many games, it's going to catch up to you. So we had the privilege of talking to Angus after the tournament, and it sounds like they're really going to look into the details as to why they couldn't hold those leads, and you know they're a very analytical team anyway. So I'm expecting more of the same. I honestly don't think they have to nuke what they have. It's still a very talented team that I think, again, without a Petrasso or Manella there, it's kind of hard to get the best of everybody. So I'm looking forward to them to actually rebound next year and potentially contend for the title.
Yeah, but I know like Chris Manella and Michael Petrasso were supposed to be 2 big parts, but personally, I think they have enough talent and quality in that squad that they should have done better. They had Manny Aparicio, Joe DiChiara,
Alvaro Rivero.
Yeah, they had Alvaro Riviero. They had all the youngsters.
Telfer's performance.
Yeah, Telfer. All the youngsters were great. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
All the youngsters were great. There's Luco Gasparado, Roger Thompson, Thompson. So if you look at that roster, they should have done better than they actually did, even though you're missing a Michael Petrasso and Chris Manella. If you went into a tournament without them, I don't think the York 9 fans would be so angry if they didn't know that they were get like Michael Petrasso, like if it was a surprise or they didn't get them.
They should have done better. They just didn't have great penetration. They're really, really poor about penetration. It reminded me of like Spain in the World Cup. They were just going side to side and didn't really do anything that caused the other team's problems.
It's surprising having a player like Manny Aparicio, because Manu can play. He can be that better penetrative when he plays in the middle and just like create chances, but he needs a partner. He needs, and I feel like they were counting on that older Argentinian midfielder that played for the academies of Brian Lopez, who was playing in the academies of Racing. Racing Club was one of the top ones in Argentina, and it's really difficult to play for the academies in that club. So I feel like they were trying the long picture, the faraway picture was having that midfield, that Argentinian connection of Manu and Brian Lopez. And maybe next year create more chances and being, as you say, like more deep into the box and more penetrative.
And like Nicholas Hamilton, because I get that like a lot of their big people were going to be like their internationals, like Adrian Ugriazia, but they had enough quality in that team to still do good, and they just didn't perform. And I know that they want to make they kind of want to like develop players and then like sell them, and they're very analytical, but they need to do better than that with the players that they had.
Maybe it's
I
the
think
manager touch.
I think Ryan
They kind of would
Telfer.
love those games.
I think Ryan Telfer was like a busted flush. I think that we really thought that he was going to be a game changer for them, and he didn't show up for the tournament. And as Carlos said there, I think that it doesn't matter if you have a UEFA Pro license or UEFA A license or whatever license that you've got, you still need to be able to get the most from your players, and I just don't think that they did. And that's no disrespect to Jimmy Brennan. He's a great manager, all that kind of good stuff, and it's a great club, but they have to be disappointed with, like, they were my pre-tournament favorites because when you look at that squad on paper, it's incredible, and I just think that they just didn't show up. I mean, it's great that they went undefeated and they were making jokes about it, but you have to see out games. You have to win. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter what players that you have. If you don't have a system that suits what you've got, you're never going to win anything. And I just think that the system that they set up just didn't suit who they had, and they just never changed it. And that's why most of their games were drab to watch too. There was no excitement, or sort of boring to watch, to be honest.
The most exciting
people...
the most exciting part was after Omar's goal when he threw the clipboard.
Yeah, exactly. And the most exciting, and the two free kicks from Manny.
That was classic, right?
Like that's all.
Yeah.
I think that's all we remember from the tournament is the two free kicks from Manny and that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think they had the proper striker that they wanted because they're relying on Ugrazia and Nicholas Hamilton. But they have Lowell Wright, who could have filled in. You know, Ryan Telfer could have played there. They just didn't have enough going forward. It's almost like they're kind of just like we're good defensively, but we're not great attacking. Like, they had the quality players to attack. It just didn't work out almost. I'm not sure if it was because like the defenses were so strong or maybe a little too predictable.
I think they were very predictable. I think you're right there. I just think that the system that they had, as I said, like they never changed it, and people were just able to snuff out the threat. It's just you just let them have the ball in front of you, and they didn't have any ideas to get in behind you. So, and it's kind of a shame because they're probably like two of the best fullbacks in the league, and they just never really got going attack. Like, defensively they're fantastic, but going forward, I didn't think their fullbacks got into the game as much as they should have.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like the defense of York, to me, my taste, it's better than the one in Forge. I know Forge are the reigning champions, but to me, the quality of the defenders of York are way better than Forge. But of course, they're the champions, and One Soccer is gonna praise them. Like, they're the best too.
Yeah.
But to me, is York.
Like, Carlos hates One Soccer, so just don't let him get started on it. Okay.
No, I don't.
Move on very quickly.
Okay.
Well, we got about 10 minutes to get through the rest of them.
Let's move on. Let's move on to Pacific, and I bet like Marco Bustos' name will be mentioned like 25 times here. So who wants to mention Marco Bustos first? Because I know at least all of us will at least.
Yeah, like he was my MVP of the tournament. I know that as a Halifax fan, I'm supposed to pick Akeem, but Marco was incredible. He's like, I knew that he was a good player from like last year, but I just think he's gone to that next level, and I think that's from working with somebody that he sees as a kind of a big brother or father figure in past. So I mean, they just work so well together. Overall, I think their team was really good, but as we said at the beginning, every team can get beaten by another team, and some games they showed up and other games they didn't. So it's another one of those that they have a pretty decent squad, but there's a few pieces I think that are missing. Like, Terran Campbell didn't have a great tournament, which was a big surprise to me. Yeah, and they have like some of the best players in the league. Like, I mean, like goalkeeping was a bit of a sore spot for them at the beginning too. So I think that next year, after they have a proper pre-season with Pad, that we'll probably see a much stronger Pacific, and it's all they have to keep Marco Bustos. I think that's a given. So yeah,
Nolan Worth was it like their goalie when Nolan Worth was there was kind of like a sore spot, but Cal Irving did really well. Yeah, but if you think about it, they have a lot of quality in that squad with Victor Blasco, Marco Bustos, McNaughton, Hamar Dixon. Like, I think because they didn't have enough rotation, they didn't have enough squad depth, that's the farthest that they could have gone. Like, because I know like Marco Bustos' stats were amazing, but a lot of those stats came from a 5-0 win against the Wanderers, when the Wanderers didn't even hardly prepare for it. Like they changed their roster in the last hour, basically, because of that other game. Yeah, his stats were amazing, but he contributed to a lot of goals, and he was on fire this whole tournament. Who wants to go next? Because we're getting to the end of the time. So
Yeah, I know. I guess I'll keep it quick. Chung, Jagier, Bustos. That connection next year is potentially league winning. So I think what Pacific is missing, like you guys mentioned already, is a little bit of depth. And I think that they'll easily address that, kind of how the club's model is built, young local players. I said York was going to rebound. It's not that Pacific has to rebound. They had a pretty respectable tournament. But if I'm picking a favorite for next year right now, I think it's Pacific.
Really? Okay.
really, well,
I liked Ka. I liked watching him as he got into the tournament. His personality and some of the things that he said. Like, what can you improve in the second half? Everything.
Love it.
Carlos, did you want to say something more about Pacific, or should we go on to the next team?
Pacific will be in the final next season.
Really? Okay.
Okay.
I mark my words. I feel like they just showed enough.
Yeah.
It could be and so it makes me scary because it makes me. I want us to be in the final, but we gotta improve a lot because a Pacific with more preparation, it's very, very intimidating. So
I see Pacific.
Pamaduka knows what he's doing. So just Bustos. I've been a Marco Bustos fan since he was in Valor. Like when I saw him in the Wonder Grounds, I was just like, this guy's a bowler. I always in Twitter, I was just like having almost a GoFundMe for the Wanderers just to sign Marco Bustos because I wanted him in for us because I feel like he's a bowler and look what happened. Like this has been the season of Bustos, and regardless, they've been games that he wasn't the bribe, but sometimes people think that because you do a couple knockmans and you score a couple goals, that's how you have to play, and it's not. Like sometimes like he gives you everything, like tactical stuff that you normally have to see how his movements are, depth in the midfield and everything. So I feel like Marco Bustos is the best player in the league.
Yeah, and I know you guys are saying how Pacific is going to be are one of the favorites, but another one of my favorites, along with the Wanderers, one of my favorites going into 2021 is Cavalry FC. So let's talk about them next. So I know that there were injuries struck, but even though they hardly had any depth because of all the injuries, I think they could have gone into the finals, and maybe they could have won if they just had a little more depth, or even two of their star players back, like maybe Jay Wheeldon, Nicholas Ledgerwood, or Oliver Minitel, or Sergio Camargo. I think or Nico Pasquati, even one or two of them could have made a huge difference. And I think Tom Whelan Jr. is a great coach. I'm a little surprised that he didn't get nominated for Coach of the Year award, because if you think about it, he had to deal with so many injuries, and they still were so good. I know you guys think that Pamudaka should have been not in that list, but personally, I think Tom Whelan Jr. should have been in that list.
Yeah, he did good, like you said, with the injuries, but even guys that couldn't make it because of COVID. And I know all the teams had issues with internationals not being able to make it, but I think when you look at Cavalry's roster, they were probably as impacted overall by internationals not making it. So I think that's the thing I'm looking forward to next season is to see if like a guy like Escalante, for example, is going to be able to slot back in and be as effective for the team as he was last year, especially with these young competitive guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing how Cavalry gets younger again next year as well, because they showed this year that they're willing to do so. So
because there's some great young guys. Elliot Simmons is like my favorite player to watch on Calvary. I love watching him. But who wants to talk quickly about Calvary next?
Yeah, I think that losing Camargo so soon in the tournament really set them back. He is the player that makes them tick the most, and once he never came back, I don't think they ever looked the same. I know that you're a big fan because you're Tommy's best friend, Jack, so you're very biased in this. But I think that there's definitely some pieces that need changing. Like, I mean, they brought in Marcus Haber, which I think was inspired, and that's where I think Tommy is a great coach because he's a great man manager. He brings out a lot in players, and I think if you look at the Marcus Haber who played for Pacific last year to the one that played this year, it's night and day. He just looked more confident. He knew exactly what he was supposed to do. There's no pressure on him. He had a role in the team, and he did it really well. I think that them bringing Mo Farsi from nothing to one of the players of the tournament as well was inspired. I think that they need to, as Chris mentioned, need to bring in some young blood, though. A lot of their players are starting to get. It's very hard for me to say because I'm old myself, but they need to kind of bring in some young blood just to kind of fill the team out a little bit more. But the future's still bright. I mean, like when you've got a coach like Tommy Whelan Jr., I wouldn't be panicking yet, and we'll still see them there or thereabouts next year.
Yeah, and like you said, like with the how they brought, like, how Tommy Whelan Jr. is a great man manager. They brought Mo Farsi, the impact with internationals. Another reason why I think he should have been nominated for manager of the year.
You're very biased.
I don't think I'm biased.
You and Tommy are like this. So
don't take this, Jack. Don't take it, Jack.
You know what? You know what's really interesting about Tommy is he's just really into the tactics, and he showed a real joy in hearing questions about tactics.
This is what I love of him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I would love to get more into his head, see how he thinks of the game.
I'm sure you'd be able to get him on your show. I'm sure he'd love to come on. I mean, and that's the thing though. Like you can tell he loves football and he loves to talk about football. And the fact that Jack, you had a question for him that wasn't just a blasé normal question that he gets, kind of probably piqued his interest as well. So he's a man, and he loves this league, and he's a great promoter of it, and he's great for the league. So we're lucky to have him. All joking aside, and he's a great football man, and I enjoy watching his teams play. I think that his style of play is really good to watch.
Okay.
How about me, Anthony, and Carlos all just each do one of the last three teams, and then we'll all give a little Halifax 2 cents.
Okay.
I think that's probably a good way to get through these.
Can I do
Okay,
Forge?
Carlos, go for it.
Go ahead, brother.
Go Forge.
Yeah, I'll go Forge so we don't have the sour taste for the end. Like to me, Forge, it's like as Bobby Smiotti said, give me an option to win and I'll find the manners to do it. So he did it. To me, the way that they lost Borges last season, and they didn't have a predominant striker. They have quality talent, Mo Bully, but he's not quite there. And, you have all this. You got Cadell Thomas. To me, he's one of the best strikers. He's very underrated. To me, he's just like, I would love to have him for the Wonders. They were rotating the line of three. And I give kudos to Bobby Semiotics because the way that he thought about himself, okay, I don't have Borges. I won't find the next Borges, so I need to make this squad, change my tactics, make this squad work the way that we can score and be predominant without Borges and still have that powerful attack. So he was rotating the line of three up front constantly, but he never changed the system. So the team started to play a way that started giving results. So to me, that's the way that Forge was successful in this league. And he found a way to play without Borges. And now they're like 2 times CPL champions.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Edmonton up next.
I'll do this one, Anthony. I know it's kind of depressing, but I mean, I don't actually think they were as bad. I've been talking to this with Anthony and Carlos over the last couple of weeks. I think it would be a mistake for them to actually gut the squad, and I think that's why they've made a change at head coach. I think that ownership sees that there is something there that. Oh my goodness, I blanked. Paulson, is that his last name?
Jeff
Paulus.
Paulus?
Paulus. I don't know where the hell Paulson came from. Jesus.
Olsen is from Leipzig.
I know, but I don't know why. I guess it's an easy mistake to make.
Yeah.
Anyways, my point is, I think ownership saw that there was still enough of a core. Despite them being behind in a lot of games, they were still competitive in a lot of games. There was just next to nothing in the final third. So I think that they should focus really on building that spine, because I think around the spine there's enough skin. So I'm not as down on Ottawa, I think, as most people, but I think that they do have to make a drastic change. I just don't think it's getting rid of guys.
Yeah, and they didn't play the way they wanted to. When we talked to Duran Lee, he said they're going to play this way, and he was injured at the beginning. They didn't end up playing that way. You know, maybe because of that, maybe because of other things. But they weren't really able to play that way that he had told us that they were going to play.
I know hindsight's always a funny one. We can look back and say, you know, he could have did this, he could have did that. The fact that he's not in the job anymore, but still has a role in the club, I think says to me that this tournament might have just kind of caught up to them specifically too soon, whereas the other 7 teams seem to put in a good account of themselves. I think Edmonton might have been able to use another month maybe, and then they would have kind of been in form, which is why I'm not as down on them as a lot of people are. And I think that maybe an injection of a new coach it could bring out what they wanted. Like you said, talking to Duran, maybe tactically they're not even going to change that much. It's just a matter of having some fresh ears and eyes at the head of the helm. So I'm actually really looking forward to them next year. I really am. As long as they don't get rid of everybody, and if they get rid of everybody, it'll be a fun project.
Just a quick one. Jeff Paulus is a man of football. Like, that guy is very charismatic. He knows football a lot. And to me, I feel like it's not that he lost respect from the locker room. He lost the chemistry. And when you lose the chemistry, you leave the team, because you know that you need that to make a successful squad. And I don't want to compare Edmonton to Barcelona, but the best years of Barcelona with Guardiola, like, he gave them the best. And then when he find out that the locker room was taking more control over and he was losing that chemistry, that's when he decided to step down, have one sabbatical year, and then he signed from Bayern Munich.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the first time ever that FC Edmonton and Barcelona have been used in the same sentence. Congratulations.
I'm talking about just the chemistry of the locker room with your manager.
I'm joking with you, Alan. No, but all joking aside. Just a quick one. Like Jeff is a great football man, and he's done an awful lot for football in the Edmonton area, and I'm glad that he's staying as a coach. And he's still working in football in Edmonton, and Canada is lucky to have somebody that passionate about the game. So.
Yeah,
he really cares.
And now going on to Ottawa.
What to say about Ottawa? I think they gave a really good account of themselves, and I think they were inspired by bringing Ben Fisk in as their first player. I think that started things off the right way, that they didn't try to bring a big name from Europe or anything like that, that they went for a Canadian player who has a Spanish background, and that was inspired. And the players that they brought in such a short space of time were good in a lot of ways. I really think that, like, Acuna was like one of the surprises of the tournament. He was fantastic. Malcolm Shaw scored probably the goal of the tournament. That was fantastic. So I mean, like, you could tell that the way that Meester probably spoke to them beforehand is that everybody's expecting you guys to lose. Go out there and show them what you're made of. So his team talks, I bet, were pretty easy to get the guys G'd up and inspired for it. But sometimes when they came up against teams that were in better form, you could see the frailties there. Like, I mean, like, the discipline kind of went off in a couple of games, and that's just from not playing with people enough, you know. So I think that the foundations are really good. We'll probably see some players come and go because a lot of them are just brought in to fill out that tournament. So I think it's still a big project that has a long way to go. But there is an awful lot of pieces there already that they can work with. Like, Mo Karuma was fantastic. I'm really happy for him that things went well. Big shout out to Brandon John. I mean, like losing your father and continuing to play on. Guy's a hero, and like fair play to him that he was able to play through that and had a fantastic tournament. So there's an awful lot of success stories, and I'm really glad that they didn't turn up and get beaten 8-0 every game. I think that the league needed them to be somewhat successful, and I think that they gave a really good account of themselves. And congratulations to Mista's translator for getting themselves sent off. That was incredible. I still think that's one of my favorite moments as well of the tournament. But yeah, all looks good in Ottawa, and they have a very strong fan base. If you see online, they're a very vocal fan base too. So I think the future looks rosy for football in Ottawa, which is what we need, right?
Yeah, and then just a quick thing is, I think they got like the cores there with Brandon John, Benjamin Fisk, Milovan Kapor, and Francesco Acuna. Coming into that, I had high expectations for Acuna, and I feel like he surpassed them, because I feel like if you took Acuna out, I don't think they would have been able to win the games that they would have been able to, like get the assists, get the goals. But I feel like they might, because Francesco Acuna is old. I feel like he's going to be turning.
I think he's 35, maybe. He's going to be turning 35.
Yeah,
And
35.
even Mo's 31 or 32, I think.
I don't even want to talk about the keeper of
Athletic
Ottawa. How old is he? 45?
Well,
I think
he
40.
just dyes his hair gray.
But I think
he's
that
40.
I think though, had York 9 had an Acuna, they probably would have won the tournament. That was exactly the type of player that they needed. Somebody who could unlock a defense and do something a little bit magical. And it was genius signing from whoever picked him up at Ottawa. He was fantastic.
Yeah.
They also need a striker, York 9, but yeah, Ottawa were great. And I think if you can hold on to the core like Benjamin Fisk, Francesco Acuna, like Milovan Kapor, the center backs, and like Vashon Newville and Malik Hamilton, maybe just get some more like young blood in there, because like if you think about the team is pretty old, with Nacho Zabal being pretty old, but he was great. He was like a great keeper. Nacho Zabal.
And Fisk seems like a really good captain.
And on topic with Ottawa too, real quick before we move on, if there was like a most improved player in the league, Malik Hamilton by far. Him and Mo together created some magic, and it really reminded me of Mo early last year with Zoom, how the two of them just managed to work so well together. It's a huge testament to Mo, how he played on the left a lot last year. This year, Ottawa had him playing more naturally on the right, and he showed up. And I think a big part of that is, in all honesty, Malik Hamilton. And I think that he's one of the guys that I'm really looking forward to next season. And you know, we joke about guys getting sold or leaving. He might be one that actually makes the step up, especially that he's already has that MLS experience as a youth. So yeah, just throwing that in there. Like Ottawa just did an incredible job putting this team together.
Yeah, like Ben McKendry and their midfield was great too. Like Ajay Cabra and VT Martinez. He was a big help. Like he really helped them. But I think we've gone through all of the teams, right? Now it's just the Wanderers that we have to go to? Yeah, Halifax. And wow, what a tournament they had, from going to last place all the way to having the finals. And to be honest, maybe we could have won, maybe we could have won that, because we did a lot better on both of the games. We should have won both of the games against Forge. And kind of why I think that
wrong order.
And I think why Stephen Hart should be coach of the year. And I heard both of you, and I heard like you guys saying that like Spally Smirniota should be the coach of the year. You're surprised that he didn't get it last year. That like he's won back-to-back championships. But I think it's hard from going to last place and to totally change like your team, to completely change your team and be a fighting, like such a fighting team. And the recruitment was great. My only worry was how teams beat us, because Cavalry, when we were a man up, we were struggling because we had too much possession. And Forge gave us possession. I asked Bobby Smirniotis that after in the press conference, and that was kind of like his strategy. And you know what? It worked. But if they just played like more of their normal game, what they did, we could have won. But like, we have great midfielders. I just feel like we should be a bit more comfortable in possession. We need to get more comfortable in possession.
I think you're totally right, and I think like we kind of mentioned yesterday that the problem is that we never had a plan B. So if plan A didn't work, there was nothing to like. That was a simple thing, was to just give us the ball, as you said, and we didn't know what to do with it. I watched the guys in training, and every single player there is comfortable with the ball, but if your system doesn't match that. So, I mean, we should have changed maybe a little bit of what we were trying to do once we knew that forwards were going to sit back and let us have the ball, because we had the ball so much in our own half, but we didn't do anything with it because we were still waiting to press on people, because that's what we were set up like. We should have changed the system to match what we were up against. And I think my only criticism of Stephen, and I think you're right, he did an amazing job of bringing a team from last to second, is that sometimes he's a little bit slow to react to situations, and I just think that's kind of just where we kind of just fell back a little bit. But all in all, I think that we had a fantastic tournament. We're fans, right? So we get frustrated with stuff, and we're obviously going to be a little bit more critical of the Wanderers because that's who we support and that's who we actually care about, right? So that's why, like, anybody who listened to our show probably thought that we were being a little bit overcritical, but we were analysing stuff a little bit more. And I think that Stephen did a fantastic job. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge of the game. He's an encyclopedia, as so many people say about him. That would be my only criticism, that sometimes we're just a little bit slow to react to coaches, because people, as Carlos said yesterday, like, people know how we play, and it's pretty easy to go against that and just let us have the ball. I mean, that's all that Bobby did, really. He was just like, hey, here, you have the ball and do something with it. And we couldn't do it. And we do have midfielders that are capable of it. Like, Rampersad is an amazing passer of the ball. LBG, on his day, when he gets his head down, is probably one of the best passers of the ball in the league. Sissoko is fantastic. So it's not like we don't have players who know what to do with the ball. It's just that when your system is set up for you to press and not have the ball, it's very difficult for you then to suddenly be given it and just go like, what am I supposed to do here? So I think had we changed it maybe even at half time and came back out and just set ourselves up to be able to control the ball and have it, I think we probably would have seen a few more chances on goal. But what a ride though through the whole tournament. It is amazing to be on the journey with the guys, and like, being at the Wanderers ground was fantastic just to see everybody again. And the Calvary game, they gave us something incredible to cheer for, although they also probably increased my blood pressure by about 200%. but you're right though. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like that was a game we should have sought out, and we made it very difficult for ourselves, and it just probably would have taken a few tweaks for us just to fix that. But I'm really looking forward to next year. I know we've said that Pacific might be favourites and Calvary might be favourites. Let's not rule out this Halifax team, because I think with a few little tweaks and a few little different pieces, if we bring in a new striker, I think, just as a foil for Akeem, I think we have a great chance next year of going all the way.
Yeah, and I just have two quick questions for Carlos and Chris. So, Carlos, do you still prefer Akeem Garcia on the wing, or do you like him as a striker now? And Chris, who is your Manager of the Year award, because you weren't at the last Down the Pub podcast episode?
I love that Carlos
question. I love that Carlos question so much.
I go first?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah.
You put Akeem as a defender, give me as a defender, he's still going to score. Akeem, play as a 9, because we got two talented players. We got Corey Bent, and then we got, what's the name?
Marshall?
Alex Marshall. So we got those two. So what was his option? You're going to play as a 9. He did it. He performed it. He did good, but I still like him as a winger. I feel like with a solid number 9, taller, because, taller, like kind of like Marcus Haber height, we're probably going to be dangerous with him. Can you imagine that, having Marcus, like not Marcus Haber, but a player with the size of Marcus Haber, with the talent of Harry Kane? Anthony's going to love me this. And Akin Garcia, which is going to cause trouble, you know? And that's my point. Akin should be a winger. I'm still thinking that he's a winger. I like him more as a winger. I feel like he feels also comfortable playing as a winger. I feel like playing him as a 9, he gets more gas out as per usual. He gets hit a lot. He does the job. He's the employee of the month. So I'm telling him, like, you tell him to do it, and he's gonna over success doing it. But to me, I feel like for his biotype of a player and the talent that he has, I think I like him more as a winger. And people think that, yeah, you're a winger. He was a winger. He still scored goals. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, final thoughts, Chris.
I'm going to
Wrap
add
up here.
a very quick 2 cents to that. 627 duels won, 126 tackles for the Wanderers this year. But if we take away injury time, they didn't score a goal from open play pretty much in the last 4 games. Akeem scored a couple minutes into that game against Forge, and the boys didn't score a goal from open play. So as much as I love Akeem, like Anthony said, we're easy to figure out, and I think next year's the year where we have to put somebody up at the top to try to shake things up. Coach of the year, you know, I agree with the whole, I think Bobby should get it, but I feel like if they give it to Bobby, it would almost be to make up for last year. I feel like in terms of what Steven did, the whole roster pretty much being remade and how Halifax transformed into a completely different team, I think that whoever's voting for the award is going to recognize the optics rather than the results. And I think what gives Steven an advantage is that the results actually were really good this year. So I never thought I'd ever say this, especially Chris last year, that couldn't stand Stephen Hart, but we're potentially looking at the best manager in the league. And I feel like this is the year where he's going to elevate himself.
Yes. And just something on that striker and Akeem Garcia talk. I think with just a bit more practice, Ibrasano can fill in that spot because he's big, he's strong. Like he got kind of off to the wrong start with getting injured pretty much as soon. But if he started, I think he'd be able to make a difference. Like you do not have that goal scoring record. If you not have that goal scoring record and not be able to score a goal in a bit higher league, like that's just impossible. Like he has such a high goal scoring record. I'm sure he'll be able to bang in some goals next season as long as we keep him.
We have less than a minute, so wrap it up, Jack.
Okay. Does anyone have one final remarks that anybody wants to say really quick?
I do one very quick one. I want for 2021. I hope we make it to the final and we win it this time. I hope we got a striker. We got another midfielder.
Come on!
and also a plan B and a plan C.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming on. It's been really enjoyable to talk with you. And thank all of you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next video, and we'll see you 3 at Dirty Nellies.
Money Wanderers!
Come on, you dogs!
See you guys.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
That was fun. Cheers, fellas.